Hello, everybody. Today I wanted to take a moment to talk about the power of intention. First and foremost, I feel like me in the past, especially when I was like in my sad, and a lot of people in general nowadays kind of just like wake up and go through life. And I know that when you're down in the gutters, it's really, really easy to just kind of let life slip by you and just do whatever it feels like you're supposed to be doing and just kind of go with the flow. But the issue with that is you're not really living your life. I mean, obviously, you're like waking up every day and doing the things that you need to do, because if not, it would be a lot worse. But what I'm trying to say is the power of intention. For this, I'm going to go ahead and ask that you, first of all, take responsibility for where you are. Like, you were born, you did a bunch of shit. Some of it didn't go so well, some of it may have gone great, but you are where you are because of who you are and the actions that you took, right? So we're here, and you're entirely responsible for where you're at, right? So then what do now? You go and do and build and take the actions that you need to take to build the life that you want in the future. Don't worry about who you are now. I mean, obviously you should kind of like go ahead and do everything that you need to do to take care of the person that you are and the needs that you have and the emotions that you feel. But what I'm trying to get across is that if you take responsibility for where you're at now, that makes it like, don't take responsibility for the situations that you were in. I mean, obviously some of them may have been your responsibility, but like, if you take responsibility for the actions that you had, and Stephen Covey says, I am not a product of my circumstances, I am a product of my decisions. And yes, to some extent that is true, but to another extent it is also false. But let's focus on the true part, right? You are who you are because of the decisions that you made, and because of the situations that you ended up in because of the decisions that you made. So, moving on. So, now that you've taken responsibility for where you're at in life, moving forward, I think it's critical to just like move towards something, because if you're not moving forward, you're staying in the same spot. And if you're staying in the same spot, then you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then either A, you're going to get bored of where you are, B, you're going to grow complacent and you're going to kind of grow numb, or C, you're going to get involved in something that you just kind of let slip into your life because you weren't paying attention. So back to the power of intention. Like, my goal is to retire early, right? I would like to not have to work until I'm 65 because A, it seems like a terrible way to live. B, I would like to be able to wake up on a Monday morning and just like, hey, I don't want to come into work today, and not have to worry about my finances and how that's not going to cover my rent because I didn't go to work. Like, I would like to have the opportunity to be there for myself, for my loved ones, and for the people that I have in my life if they were to say that they need me. Or like, my parents are 52 and 53, like they don't have that much time left, and I'm not saying that they're only gonna live to 60, but what I am saying is that when my parents are like 74 or something and they're like on their last legs or coming to the end of their life, I would like to have the opportunity to be there for them and be there when they're on their deathbed, because, you know, like, if I just can't because my life isn't in order and my finances aren't put together, like, that would be a really tragic way to have to say goodbye. And I don't want that for myself, and you shouldn't want that for yourself either. So what I'm saying is, claim where you are now, and in that reclaiming of yourself and your spirit and your body and your time, take into account who you want to be in the future. And you can't necessarily strive to become a better person until you acknowledge and you put in its, like, I like to compartmentalize things, and I'm gonna project that on you. I'm hoping that you do that as well, because that's how I manage my life. Anyways, when you compartmentalize things like that, once you've taken responsibility for that and you've put everything in its place, it's a lot easier to move forward as a person and to grow, because you know where you went wrong, and you know what you could have done better, and you know what you could have done worse. And instead of focusing on other people's opinions and other people's perspectives, I mean, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of like that little grain of salt from someone else's opinion and an outside perspective, but ignore that because you don't need that. What you need to do is focus on yourself and what you need to do to make yourself as happy as possible. Because at the end of the day, that's all this is. Like, people always wander around asking what the meaning of life is. And if you ask me, like, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy said 42, but if you actually look into that, 42 was an asterisk. Like, that's how they coded the machine that figured that out. And essentially what that means is that the meaning of life is up to us. And if you ask me, the meaning of life is to find, like, sustainable happiness. And how do you find that? You have to look within. And obviously that's a really loaded question. But at the end of the day, like, all you can really do is try your best and make sure that you're in a position of life where you can just feel happy and feel secure and feel safe and know where you're headed. And you can't really do that until you have taken responsibility for where you are now. And by taking responsibility for where you are now, I mean, obviously there's some work you have to do there. You have to, like, work through it. You have to deal with it. You have to, like, come to terms with all of the emotions that come up because of that. But once you do that, you can focus on moving forward. And I'm just going to breathe it out because that's kind of a heavy, like, that's a heavy topic, like dealing with all the mistakes that you've made. And I know that's asking a lot, but creating a life that you want to live is also a lot, because if you don't create that for yourself, like, you're just gonna keep living under capitalism, and who wants that? I mean, obviously we have to live under capitalism up until now, unless somebody wants to, like, you know, go and raid the White House or the Capitol building. Not that anyone has done that, but what I'm saying is that the system in place makes certain things inevitable, and you just have to deal with that. Eleanor Roosevelt likes to say, it is unfair to ask of other people what you cannot do yourself, and I would like to think that I have taken responsibility for where I am, who I am, and the choices that I've made. So now I'm asking that you do that, and that you take the proper steps to deal with where you've become, to deal with where you've ended up, and acknowledge those decisions, and acknowledge the consequences that came with those decisions, because at the end of the day, it's your life, and if you can't live with that, then how the hell do you expect someone else to? Like, nobody is going to take responsibility for making you happy if you can't take the responsibility to make yourself happy. And obviously your parents might want something better for you, but at the end of the day, like, your life is in your hands. So take responsibility and take action. Find out who you are, find out where you've gone, take responsibility for that, and drive yourself forward. Lift yourself up to become the person that you most want to be, because no one else is going to do it for you. It's your life, and it's in your hands. Thank you, YouTube, and happy soul searching.